I was born missing my leg, and for a while my mom was a single parent, and I just remember from the very beginning, she never treated me like I was handicapped, like I was disabled, like I was lacking anything.
Welcome to the show, folks. This is Wrestling Changed My Life. Here we go.
We can endure anything and adapt and pivot and change. Wrestling gave us that ability.
I would say nothing in life has impacted me more than the things wrestling has taught me in terms of self-reflection, resilience.
Toughness. Some guys have it, some guys don't.
Adversity, 100%. How to pick myself up and be a man after I failed.
And everything that has shaped my life and where I'm at today would not be there without the values and basically the lessons I've learned through the sport of wrestling.
For me, wrestling saved my life because it allowed me to focus and channel my energy.
We're fortunate if you wrestled, because if you wrestled, natural talent helps, but it's 5% of the ingredient. It pales in comparison to heart and technique and effort.
It humbled me, taught me humility. Nothing can humble you more than wrestling. I think it's the learning to adapt, right? You learn how to adapt, you learn how to solve problems.
If I look back at my time I spent wrestling, if it gave me one thing more than anything else, it's mental toughness.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is the great and powerful Anthony Robles. Anthony was born without his right leg and still went on to win an NCAA championship for Arizona State. Unbelievable accomplishment. And as you can imagine, this is an all-time great podcast. Our fan of the week goes to Adam Canty, who's the pride of St. Rita, hell of a wrestler for the Mustangs back in his day. Thank you for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by WrestlingChangeMyLife.com. Past episode and all of our top videos, such as the one with Tom Brands talking about John Smith, can be found via those beautiful keystrokes. Now, give it up for this podcast with Anthony Robles. We picked this conversation up with Anthony talking about his pull-up record that he set last November at the Jets game.
What happened was a friend of mine at the gym tagged me on a Facebook video of the former Guinness World Record holder breaking the pull-up record, and he put a question mark, and I knew what the question mark meant, and he was trying to challenge me in it. So I set off. I trained for a year to go for that pull-up record, and last November, November 11th actually, in New Jersey, I had the opportunity, and I broke the record by one. I did 62 in a minute.
I think you're being modest when you say it was in New Jersey. It was at the Jets game, people. It was at a football stadium.
Oh, man, it was an amazing experience just to have 80,000 plus fans there cheering for me. It was an honor, and I just felt like I wanted to use that platform to show people, you're never too old, and you never have to stop setting goals for yourself, to stop pushing yourself to do better. And I felt like I'm constantly looking for something to push me, constantly looking for that next mountain to climb. So I was just grateful for the opportunity and really happy that I got it done. Couldn't straighten my arms for about a week after that, but it was worth it.
Seriously, they pushed you that hard to get to that 62, huh?
Oh, it did, man. And the thing I didn't factor in was the cold weather. I think it was like low 40s, 41 degrees, overcast and raining. And, I've been used to training in the gym. It's, 80 degrees in there. So it was a little different.
Wow. Did it impact your grip at all?
It wasn't so much my grip. I think it was just my lungs burnt up, and I felt like my muscles hit the wall quicker than I expected.
Wow.
I felt like I had a point in my head where I wanted to rest, and I felt like, just being up on that bar in the arena, I felt like my muscles were fatiguing quicker than, I was used to in practice. So it was a little different. I had to make some adjustments, but, luckily I got it done. Actually, I didn't even know I broke the record until I got off the bar. And my girlfriend hugged me. I lost track of my count, and I just thought to myself, I'm going to keep going until it told me to stop. So,
dude, that's so savage. Now, when you started, you said you did it for a year. When you started, could you not do 62 in a minute, or how far off were you?
The first time I did it, actually, I want to say I did 50 in a minute, and it was just trying to break that last 12 to hit the record. That took me a while, and so, I was just kind of focusing on just conditioning my muscles, getting stronger to be able to, last all the way through. And I pushed myself hard. I was doing 2-a-day workouts. I put a pull-up bar upstairs. So every time I went up the stairs in my house, I had to do a minimum of 40 pull-ups nonstop. So every day I was at least putting in 250 pull-ups, even on my rest days. So.
God. I'm sure you're familiar with the guy by the name of David Goggins. You heard that name?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just read his book, actually.
Dude, absolute animal as well. And he did the pull-up record in 24 hours. And you talk about that guy. I mean, he had to do it a couple times because like his bicep tore off the bone. So, dude, maybe that's your next move, man. the 24-hour mark.
I thought about that one. My girlfriend's like, "Don't you dare!" You know, I was showing her pictures as I was reading the book of his hands and things that happened to him. But actually, the cool thing is I'm actually getting ready to hopefully try to break another Guinness record for pull-ups in November. This one's with a 40-pound pack attached to me, and so this one's going to be going for a good cause. You know, we're going to be trying to support the disabled American veterans. So, you know, I've been training nonstop, and I'm hoping to hopefully crack another record here soon.
Amen, baby. Well, I don't know how we can maybe we'll just follow your social to see if when that goes down. But is there any way we could watch that or?
Yeah, we're getting everything together right now, all the details, and I'll be posting some stuff on social media. But I mean, if you guys could support, I'd be honored. You know, it's a great cause, and I mean, I believe, you know, all the politics aside, I believe we live in the greatest country in the world. You know, we've blessed with a lot of opportunities, and you know, I've had the chance to live that American dream, and I'm just happy to try to give back and support our troops and those people who have put so much of their lives on hold and sacrificed so much for us, you know, to have these opportunities. So
I love it, man. Well, whatever we can do, let me know. We'll push it out there. And my cousin's in the service. So to your point, man, politics aside, you gotta love and respect for the guys and girls uniform now and before. So that's an awesome cause, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to get back and support. So
now, you're doing all these crazy stunts now, breaking records, but you know, back in the day, man, you were just a freshman at high school and never wrestled before. And so, you know, how did this all start for you?
Man, it was just I was very fortunate. You know, I was born and raised in Southern California. We moved to Arizona. It was in June, right before I started my freshman year of high school. And up until that point, I had never even seen an actual wrestling match. Not in high school, nothing in college. I hadn't been introduced to the sport. But my cousin who lived in Arizona in Tucson, he was about 3 years older than me, and he was wrestling for his varsity team at South Point High School. And, you know, every time I got on the phone with him, he's always trying to talk me into wrestling. Just try it. I think you'd be good at it. But, you know, it wasn't until that summer that we moved that, and I was spending a lot of time with him, and he actually was taking me to his wrestling practices. And while they were doing their practices, I was just on the side, just lifting weights, you know, just curling and doing pull-ups and that sort of thing. And I remember one day, you know, his coach came up to me and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to roll around today?" He's like, our lightweight needs someone to roll with. And they had a 103 pounder. I was only 90 pounds. And so, you know, I was like, you know, I'm good. You know, I'm just going to keep lifting, you know, stick to myself. But my cousin came in shortly after and he's like, "Hey, just try it one time." He's like, "If you don't like it, I'll never bring you back." And man, I got out there on the mat. I didn't know what I was doing, but you know, I just scrapped. You know, I tried my best. I got my butt kicked, but you know, from that point on, I had that passion for the sport. You know, just that toughness that it takes, that mentality that you need to have to be able to go out there and battle another person. You know, one-on-one. I fell in love with it.
Well, dude, you're the second guy we've had on the podcast who wrestled at Arizona State and had a lot of success that started in high school. The first was Sean Charles. He told me he started in high school, and I couldn't believe it because he was like a 3-time state champion. You went on to be a 2-time state champ as well. So it's something in the water in Arizona because like where I'm from in the Midwest, people start way young, you know, and are lucky to even qualify for the Nationals. So that's incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and Coach Charles, man, he's a stud. Actually, I just had a barbecue with him last week, but still keep in close touch. You know, he actually lives, I want to say, 5 minutes away from me now, but, you know, I'm sure, you know, he shared with you the same thing. It's just wrestling, you know, it just pulls you in. You know, when you're passionate about something, and I was about wrestling, it's like, that was all I wanted to do. You know, I mean, all summer long, I was in the wrestling room, I was training, I was watching videos. You know, I was a big fan of the Hawkeyes in high school, you know, so I was watching the Iowa Hawkeyes, the season documentary and things like that, just trying to improve and get better. So, you know, it just became something I lived wrestling.
Dude, that I forgot about that this season when ESPN did that. I used to watch that all the time. I haven't heard that come up in a long time though. That's way back, man. That's early 2000s.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite, man. Honestly, you know, in high school, I hit my growth spurt during I want to say it was my sophomore or junior year of high school. Hit that growth spurt, so I was having to watch my weight, and every day after practice, I'd pop that video in and I jump on the Airdyne bike and just ride, just get my weight down and started to memorize that documentary.
Dude, the scene at the beginning when Tom Brands is sitting there, kind of like sitting down, and he's talking about how wrestling is like selfish and mean. It just got me going, dude, every single time.
Oh, yeah. That fires me up. I know the scene exactly that you're talking about.
Yeah, he's in the grays, and he's just sitting on the mat. It's a really cool documentary. Now, it's everything you read about you. It seems like your mom had a big impact on your belief on what was possible and not putting ceilings on yourself. And so you talk about how that kind of played into wrestling and how that allowed you to have success early on.
Yeah, I was born missing my leg, and for a while my mom was a single parent, and I just remember from the very beginning she never treated me like I was handicapped, like I was disabled, like I was lacking anything. Obviously I knew I was missing my leg, but because of my mom, she taught me to have this mentality to where I saw this as a challenge, not something that was going to hold me back. It was just something I had to figure out how to deal with, how to adapt, and just move forward. And so her just motivating me to try things growing up, to not shelter me and not protect me. I wasn't afraid of the failure. I wasn't afraid to test myself. And so getting into wrestling, I think it really just echoed a lot of things that my mom taught me growing up. When you're out there on the mat against your opponent, it's just you and them. There's no timeouts. There's no subbing. You have to be really confident in your abilities and what you're capable of. And win or lose, you got to go out there and stand tall. And I love that about the sport. I just loved how you go out there with what you've been naturally gifted with, and you just build on that. Every wrestler is unique, but you just go out there, you grind, you figure out a way to win and get the job done. There's no excuses.
Right. No, I mean, that's what we all love about it. And it mirrors life in so many ways, because sometimes you put everything in and it just doesn't work out for you. And that's really hard to swallow. And if you haven't already experienced that through sport, sometimes it can be like detrimental in the real life. If you're in your mid-20s, that's the first time that's happened to you.
I absolutely agree. And I've had some stumbles in my life, and I've had plenty in wrestling. It's a very humbling sport, but I agree. It teaches you a lot about life. How to accept that failure, how to accept those losses, and just come back after it. How to rebuild and just move forward and just get tougher. And I feel like just being in the sport, it's made me a better human being, a stronger man, and I'm just very grateful for those experiences that I had in wrestling. The only thing I wish is that I would have started earlier,
right,
before 14.
Well, I mean, so to your point, so you start your freshman year, and like anyone who's just getting into it, you don't have a lot of success early on, and I've read that your record was like 5-8 or something like that. But then your sophomore year, you get a new coach, and he kind of changed your style. And from what I read, is that kind of helped you get the style you have now, where you're wrestling on the one knee, and that had to be a huge turning point for you, because then you're starting to see success, right? And your grip strength is well documented. That had to start playing into it and allow you to see some wins your sophomore year.
Oh, it absolutely did. I was blessed with some great coaches. My high school head coach, Bobby Williams, when I got to him my sophomore year that summer, like I said, I was in that room all summer long, and so he was just really good at just trying to come up with a unique style that was going to fit for me. And, initially I did start off from that neutral position on standing up like everybody else, but just having those issues with balance, not being able to attack, not being able to shoot quickly and change angles and different directions like that. Coach saw that right away. And so he said, we're going to use your arms like another leg. You got to drop down. And, initially I fought him on it, but, he was right. And he started building things like naturally walking around on crutches all day. It's like I'm doing dips 24/7, so my upper body was strong. My grip was strong. And he said, we're going to build on that too. He used to make me do a rock climbing wall every single day at the beginning of practice. I do front hangings from it, just have a stopwatch underneath me. And I'd walk around in my high school in between classes, and in class, I'd just sit there and squeeze a tennis ball in both hands, just to build up that grip strength. So I was just very fortunate to have a coach who was willing to take the time to help me develop a style that people have never seen before, and it was cool because my teammates were awesome. They were very supportive. So, in practice, as I started to get better and my record got better, and the targets started to form on my back. My coaches and my teammates, we'd sit there and we'd try to just really strategize what my opponents would bring at me. Say, okay, you're low, so they're going to try to run you over. They're going to try to run right through you. We've got to keep you low. They throw out an opponent to do that, and they really just helped me to develop a style and also have answers for when people would come at me with different things to try to defeat me.
That's cool that everyone was kind of helping out, and it doesn't surprise me in the wrestling world, but I was going to ask, like, before you got into wrestling, middle school, I know you had some issues at home with your stepdad, and I've read about that, but like, did you have to experience any of the bullying that you hear about nowadays, or not so much because you were so athletic?
I experienced a little bit of it, but I think for me, because I was athletic and I was always trying to be active in something. Before wrestling, I played football. I played flag football 6th and 7th grade, and then tackle football in 9th grade, right before I got into wrestling. So I think that really helped me just because I was always kind of part of a team, so I had those people around me to help kind of support and, just who had my back, but there were a couple of occasions where I experienced certain things, and people said certain things to me, which it hurt. But, what I tell people is, you got to use that negativity of others as motivation. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, how good you are at what you do. There's always going to be someone that's going to talk negative, unfortunately. It's just kind of the world we live, but you got to use that as something that's going to push you to move forward. Once you get to your mountaintop, once you reach your goal, what are they going to say? You can just turn back and smile at them, and that's the best, to me, that's the best type of vengeance in the world. You reach your goal, you don't let anybody stop you.
Well, especially when you literally have no control over what someone else says to you. So if you have the ability to not let that impact you emotionally, that's such an advantage in wrestling or in life, because it's a liability to constantly be worried about what other people are saying because you literally have no control over it.
Absolutely. It's just an unnecessary weight that you don't need to have. You just got to remember that. It's, in the end of the day, the opinion of others, it really doesn't matter. What matters is what you think, what you believe, and how you move forward with that. The way I see it is I don't want to be at the end of my life, looking back, wishing I would have done certain things, wish I would have tried certain things and not done it because I was afraid of what others said, or because others talked me out of it, or, they made me feel bad. That doesn't matter. Go with what your gut says and just move forward.
Well, and kind of to that point, coming out of high school, you were a 2-time state champ. You won the NHSCAs your senior year, but you weren't really recruited a lot. And that's kind of surprising to me, honestly. You actually walked on to ASU. And so what was that transition like, getting to Arizona State, coming off of a really successful career in high school?
It was humbling. Like you said, I did pretty well in high school national champ. I thought I was going to be getting those scholarship offers, those wrestling offers, and, just being on the honor roll, I thought it was a no-brainer. But, when I didn't get those offers and, people kind of turned their backs on me, I just kind of used that again as motivation to prove them wrong. And I was fortunate to where Arizona State, they had a solid wrestling program, a great history of good wrestlers that came through the program. I talked to those coaches and they offered me that walk-on spot. And so, for 2 years, I had a night job at the local airport. I was at the Sky Harbor Airport here in Phoenix. And, so after class, after practice, I'd go to the airport and I was washing and waxing airplanes to cover the rest of my tuition and cost of living, but.
What? You were working while you were wrestling and going to school?
I was, man. I was working, wrestling, and going to school for 2 years. It was, it was rough, but, I felt like, what I was chasing, it was going to be, the reward was going to be worth it. I just had to hang tough, and eventually I was going to get what was owed to me.
Wow. The demands of a D1 athletic schedule without class or a job are a lot. You factor in class and then a job, it's like, holy smokes, man. You are one driven dude. And so we all know how it turned out. You're a national champ, 3-time All-American, but how long was the learning curve for you when you got to college to where you started feeling good about yourself in practice and getting some good looks from the coaches?
Well, I've always been one to try to go for the best guys in the room. That was taught to me early on. If you want to be the best, you got to train with the best. So, I just remember going after the best guys as a true freshman, at Arizona State, just trying to wrestle the seniors and the guys who had the experience. And that first year, the first year actually at Wrestle Off, I ended up getting pinned in I think it was the beginning of the second period. I hadn't been pinned since I was like a sophomore in high school. So it was really humbling, but I just kept coming back for more. And I'd say right around my second season, so my redshirt freshman year, right towards the middle of the season, it was when I really felt like I was figuring it out. I felt like the earlier matches, the earlier part of the season, I was kind of still kind of figuring out my style, and especially trying to figure out what was going to work in college, because just going from that high school to college, it's a big gap. There's certain moves you can do in high school that you're not going to get away with at the college level, and I had to figure that out. I had to learn it for myself, and really it forced me to clean up my technique a little bit, But I'd say honestly, after my freshman year at Nationals, I remember, just being able to wrestle against Angel Escobedo in the earlier brackets and just seeing him in the finals. I felt like, man, I had a good match with that dude. I can be up there too, and that just kind of gave me that excitement and that confidence in myself, just knowing one day I could be on that platform, that final mat platform.
So that's where kind of your beliefs of what was possible moved up another notch, so to speak. That 2000 tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just going out there and I'd say just scrapping with Angel and, a couple of other tough guys in that bracket. I know I wrestled Tanner Gardner from Stanford. I think I ended up being one match away from being an All-American. I tried to hit a boot scoot with 10 seconds left in the third. Didn't work out for me. I ended up losing. But, it was just that experience alone, just scrapping with those guys who were the elite. I felt like, I could be there with them. I could hang with them.
When you talk about Escobedo, you had him legitimately the first round. I mean, what a tough draw for that guy. And you only lost 4-2. I mean, that's probably the worst draw ever because such a unique style. And then, I mean, obviously you're a 3-time All-American, so you know what you're doing. I mean, how did that match go pretty close? I mean, I know the score is 4-2, but how did it feel?
It was really close. I felt like I came out I was, going after him, and I think I got the first takedown and made a couple mistakes here and there that he really capitalized on. He's just a smart wrestler, great technical wrestler. And, I think in the end, and honestly, I ended up picking bottom in the third, and I just couldn't get away from him. So, again, there was another thing I had to figure out, how to get out from bottom. But, just going into that match, I was nervous. I knew who he was, but, my mentality was I felt like I was going to be the bad draw for anybody. No matter what they're ranked, you just got to have that belief. I think that's what wrestling teaches you. You got to go out there. You got to believe you're the alpha. You're the one that they got to beat. You got to go out there and scrap. And so didn't come out on top on that one, but I felt like I had a lot of takeaways that was going to help me improve to become what I wanted to be. To reach that championship status and that get that caliber type of wrestling out of myself.
As much as I like to ask people about their successes, I'm also fascinated what their mindset's like when they don't reach what they want. And, going into your junior year, no question, you probably felt like you were going to win it. And you had a tough loss in the semis to Long, and then end up getting 7th. I mean, you lost to Nickerson 2-1. So that's just a crazy draw in the wrestlebacks. But talk to us a little bit about, Sunday or Monday after the Nationals. Where were you at mentally, and how did you get back up on the horse and get going for your senior year? Because it had to be a tough one, your junior year.
It was, man. Honestly, that match against Long, it broke me. I remember, I came off the mat after. I was just crying under the tunnel, after that thing, and I felt like just the rest of that tournament, I just kind of wrestled, not to my best. It was just in my head. But honestly, I mean, I didn't step on a wrestling mat for months after that tournament, after the national tournament my junior year. Months.
What?
Typically, typically, I'm in the wrestling room all summer long. I'm training. That was the first summer I didn't wrestle at all. I stayed away from Arizona State wrestling room. I didn't lift with the team. Obviously I was working out on my own, but, for me, I was honestly thinking about and really considering not coming back my senior year. I told the coaches I need some time to think about it. And there were a lot of family things going on, with my stepdad. He kind of walked out of my family. My mom, she was struggling to support my 3 brothers and my sister on her own. You know, they were kind of getting kicked out of our house at the time. So there were a lot of just outside challenges that were affecting me, you know. But I just remember actually, I think it was late July, coaches called me into ASU. I guess they had a package for me. And so, you know, I show up there and he hands me this big manila envelope, and I go home, open it up, and it was actually just a bunch of individual letters from a group of third graders from Atlanta. And so what had happened was, I guess their teacher was a former wrestler. And so earlier that season, my junior year, it was USA Wrestler, the magazine. They did a little article on me, and he had read that article to his class. And so the class, they decided to write me as their hero of the week. And this was after, you know, they decided to marry me after I lost. And so just to receive these notes from these kids, you know, just I read all of them. You know, I mean, it brought me to tears, man. And that was the first time for me, honestly, that I felt like I was wrestling for more than just myself and just a trophy, you know, just the national champion title. You know, I felt like, you know, me being born this way with my challenges, I felt like these kids were looking at me kind of as a role model, you know, and I felt like it was a bigger cause. I wanted to show them that you don't let the challenge get the best of you. You know, I mean, sometimes you're going to take those losses, you're going to break, but you got to rebuild, you know. And
smokes. That is,
yeah, man. So
that's heavy. I'm getting emotional just thinking about that, because you're distraught about the loss and probably a lot of other things at that time as well. But you think, like, those kids could care less if you won that year or not. Like, they have no idea that you lost along in the semis, right? All they care about is the impact you had on them. And I bet a lot of those kids still remember writing those letters to this day. I mean, do you remember what any of them said? I mean, I'm sure it was just that you inspired them, but do you remember anything in particular that jumped out from those letters?
It was just little things, you know, like you said, like, it inspired me, and just, you know, one of them said that I think it's amazing that you wrestle with one leg, you know, and he said, I look up to you for not letting your challenge get you down, you know, just little things like that. And it was just cute things too, you know, they're just writing to me about their favorite colors and how, you know, they liked my tattoos and how I look strong and, you know, just things like that. But it was just, it just really touched me, you know. It's like, man, it's like this isn't about me, you know, this is a much bigger cause. And that gave me the fuel I needed to come back my senior year, you know?
So you were seriously not considering it, or did you always know you'd come back? You were just taking some time?
Honestly, I was seriously considering not coming back. I was leaning more towards not coming back. You know, I was looking at my classes and figuring out, you know, with my advisor what I needed to do to possibly graduate by December, you know, because I just didn't want to be there. You know, I mean, we all know the grind of wrestling, you know, and in college especially. And so, like, man, you know, I've been doing this, you know, going on my fifth season. If I went back, it's like, man, I put so much into it. The only thing I was going to accept except walking away was that first place, you know, that being a national champion. And I felt like, man, it's a long season just to have that one opportunity possibly.
Well, it's,
you know?
like,
so
it's like there's nothing worse than like the Monday after nationals or state or whatever, and you think, man, I just spent the last 5 months, like I have to do that all over again. And that lasts for a little bit of time, and hopefully the love of the sport comes back to you. But I could totally understand where you're coming from. Now, how much of it was the fact that you lost in such a tight match versus some of the other stuff you had going on that was impacting your decision to come back or not?
Honestly, I'd say a big part of it was my family, but I mean, that loss, it took a lot out of me. You know, I mean, it just, man, you know, that was my dream, to be a national champion, you know. And it's like, man, every single year you go back hoping to have that chance and the opportunity. It's like, man, now I only got one shot left. You know, it's like I worked my butt off. I did everything I was supposed to do that junior year to win it, and I came up short. You know, it's like, what do I need to do differently to make the outcome different? You know, but I think big picture, you know, when I got over all that and you know, after I won, I learned that you learn more from your losses than your wins. You know, it's hard to see that at that moment, you know, but I think the true champions, they figure that out. It's like, you know, when you lose, yeah, it sucks. You know, nobody wants to lose, and it'll break your heart, but you got to take the time to figure out why you lost and how that can make you stronger. You know, use that as an opportunity to rebuild yourself. And I think that experience, it took me a while, but that experience, it did help me to come back stronger, and it rebuilt me, tougher.
Well, and like, think about it, like going into Saturday, your senior year of the Nationals, you weigh in that morning. Fortunately, you're back in the spot where you can win a national title, but because you put so much into it, it had to be weighing on you. I mean, what were you feeling, and like, where were you at mentally going into the final Saturday night, your senior year?
Man, it was I was nervous, man. I just remember the whole day after weighing in, I was just super emotional. It was pretty cool because my mom, she'd saved up money, so my siblings and her, they flew out to Philadelphia for the tournament, and so that afternoon I just hung out with them. We had some lunch together. We went up the call them the Rocky Steps. We just kind of walked around, and I just wanted to get my mind off of wrestling. But I just remember just walking to the car after lunch, getting ready to head back to the hotel to get ready for the night. I couldn't even talk to my mom. I was just so emotional because I felt like, man, you put so much into it. This is your dream. It's like, you're 7 minutes away now from either realizing your dream or just having that dream crushed. It could be one simple mistake, and that terrified me. But,
So you say you couldn't talk to her. Was it that you were like, you would choke up? You were so emotional, or you were just so focused?
I would choke up. I had the tennis ball in my throat, man. I was wiping my eyes. I just couldn't talk to her. I just was about to bawl my eyes out. It meant that much to me, and I'm sure a lot of wrestlers can relate.
Well, it's like, as you said that, you're like, you get back to the car after lunch, and that's kind of when, all right, it's nice to have family time, but it's go time now. I mean, I'm getting chills talking about it. I wasn't even there. I love the Division I Nationals, especially on Saturday. And so, I mean, you get to the arena, now it's go time. Are you starting to relax once you have the warm-up?
Honestly, I was scared going right up to the match. I got there early to warm up on the actual mat. I love the field mat that I'm on. I don't know if it's just me just wrestling so low. I just like to be able to get the feel of it, just the material and all that. And so I just did my same warm-ups that I usually do, but just in my head, obviously it just felt different. I couldn't settle my nerves down. Everything felt like it was just happening so fast. I was super emotional, but I'll never forget that moment, just running out of the tunnel onto the carpet. And, when I got up on that platform, everything was still crazy in my head. But when I went to my corner, I looked up into the Arizona State section. And, that year we were pretty high up. But, I just remember looking up there, and, it was my mom, my siblings were there, and my high school coach, and, my high school best friend and teammate. His name was Chris Breege, who I really credit him quite a bit to my wrestling success. They were just cheering for me, and I just felt like, this was meant to be. I mean, this was my night to win it, and that's when I settled down.
And then you really won in a convincing fashion, and Matt McDonough's as good as they come. You won like 7-1. What do you remember of the match? I'm sure you have memories of it, but does anything stick out to you in terms of the actual flow of the match and kind of how it went?
Yeah, I remember, we started off, and right away McDonough kind of came at me, collar tying me, and for me, I just remember it was like 30 seconds into the match. I kind of relaxed. We were still kind of hand fighting and getting position going, and I just remember thinking to myself, I got to pull the trigger. I got to pull the trigger. I got to fire my shot off. And for me, I felt like McDonough, tough wrestler, but he was used to controlling the pace of the matches, and I felt like I needed to take control and push him, keep him on his heels. And when I fired off that first shot, man, that's when I kind of settled down, and I was like, okay, it's business. This is what I've trained for, and this is what I prepared for. That whole season, my senior year, I had a picture of McDonough in my locker.
No way.
Every day at practice. Oh yeah. Every day at practice, man, I'd look at McDonough before and after, and I'd say, that's what I'm training for. That's the guy I'm trying to beat.
Yes, I didn't know that. Let's go. Man, that is so badass. And then because had you wrestled him before in college?
I hadn't. No, I know. Earlier on my senior year, I had gotten invited to All-Stars, the All-Star tournament.
Yep.
And I know they had initially invited McDonough. I think he was getting over some sort of injury. And so he ended up not going. I wrestled Zach Sanders instead. So we never saw each other than the national finals, which I think for me, big picture, it was kind of a benefit, because for him, I could prepare for his style, but there wasn't anybody that could really mimic what I could do in his wrestling. So it ended up being a benefit for me.
Man, and then you I think again you turned him a couple of times and you won really convincingly, and I mean that had to be just I don't know if it was the most exciting feeling of your life, because some people talk about having like the post-national blues. I don't know if you had that at all, but what was what were some of the memories and emotions you had afterwards? Was it everything you thought, or was it you're kind of looking back thinking about the journey more so than anything else?
Man, it was special, because I just remember I came off the mat and I was happy, I'm hugging my coaches, and I ran up to hug my mom really quick, and my siblings were all celebrating, and I came back underneath the tunnel because I wanted to watch Bubba's match. Bubba Jenkins, my teammate that year. And so, I run underneath the tunnel and I had some time to shower first. And so, I'm getting ready and I'm in there and actually Kale Sanderson was in there for a little bit, but I was talking to him, and then it was basically just me in this locker room. And that's when it kind of hit me that as far as the competition goes, my wrestling journey was over, and I honestly started crying. I was there in the locker room. I just cried because, I love the sport so much, and there's only, we all have our own window for it as far as the competition goes. And there's nothing like that. Words can't really describe the ups and downs that you go through as a wrestler. Just the competition, what you put your body through. And I felt like, man, this is the end. I reached my mountaintop, but it's like, I was going to miss that journey. I was going to miss those experiences that I had along the way, because it was time for a new chapter after that.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful. It's just amazing to see how you could have like the highest peak of emotions, and then 10 minutes later you're crying, and some people be like, why would you be crying? But it's just what you've been focusing on for the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years kind of is now gone, so to speak. And there's nothing really to focus on. That clarity of purpose is gone almost.
Yeah. And, like we talked about earlier, just trying to find something to challenge myself. It took a while, it was like, I got back to Arizona State and it's like, man, I got all this free time now. I'm not training. I'm not lifting weights as crazy as I was. Like, what am I going to do with myself?
Well, we're excited to see what's next, man. Whatever you do, huge fans of you here. And, man, I just couldn't be more grateful that you took some time to chat with us. Last question. It's what we always wind down with. It's also the name of the podcast, so no surprise here for the listeners, but what life lessons or what kind of principles do you still take with you today, even though you're years removed from competing?
I'd say, the way wrestling has changed my life, it's given me the confidence that I need to be successful in life. It doesn't matter what opponent comes my way, what the competitor is, how big it is. I feel like I can go out there and stand toe-to-toe with it and get my arm raised at the end, and I feel like as far as life lessons go from the sport, I've learned that you never let a challenge become an excuse to quit, to give up. You might take your lumps, you might take some losses sometimes, but you just got to accept that. You got to use that as an opportunity to rebuild yourself, and get stronger and you come back, because that's what life is all about. You get knocked down, but you got to get back up and you move forward. You get stronger and you just keep grinding and you'll end up shining at the end. That's why I say you grind now, you shine later.
And if someone wants to book you, website's AnthonyRobles.com. Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, sir. It's AnthonyRobles.com. All my contact info is on there. And, we're actually getting ready to make some big announcements here about my movie. We'll be shooting and filming here pretty soon.
I was going to ask you, man, you got some big name guys working on that. Billy Goldenberg. Is that still going down?
It absolutely is. We had a slight delay. I'm not allowed to say much because we are coming out with this press release, but we had a slight delay because we're getting some other big names and big companies involved, which people will be hearing about really soon. And I know the wrestling world, once they hear, they're going to be pretty excited about it. So, I'm just blessed with the opportunities, man. And I'll be doing all the wrestling scenes. So I have an opportunity to get back on the mat now and train.
Dude, how much over are you from your competition days? Like, if you had to make 125 now, how bad's that cut?
Hey, I'm only 138 right now. I was 138.3 to so. That's it. I'm staying lean.
Man, that's not bad at all, man. Well, I'd love to chat with you once the year from now, once everything's wrapped up, and just understand what that process is like, because it seems like producing in movies is such a monumental task, man. So That would be awesome to hear about it at some point, man. And best of luck to you. I can't wait to have it come out. And
well, thank you so much, man. Again, I appreciate you taking the time, and I'd love to reconnect again once we get this movie stuff going here.
And all great things must come to an end. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us a review, give us a rating, and share this with your friends. It would mean the world to us. Thanks for listening to Wrestling Changed My Life.